You're overreacting. My sister's moving in next week, and if you can't handle that, maybe this isn't your place anymore. She said it standing in our kitchen, arms crossed, already certain the decision was done. No discussion, no warning, no question. Just an announcement wrapped in a threat. We had lived together for almost 2 years in a shared apartment downtown. Both our names were on the lease. We split rent, utilities, groceries. Everything was clean, documented, predictable. That structure was the reason it worked. We were ordinary people with ordinary jobs trying to keep life stable. Her sister was not part of that stability. She had been between places for months. Every story about her ended with someone else getting exhausted. I had been clear from the start that I wasn't comfortable living with family members. Not out of spite. I just knew my limits. Our apartment was already small. 2 people was the maximum it could handle without turning tense. I reminded her of that calmly. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult anyone. I said we needed to talk about it before any decisions were made. She laughed, not a big laugh, just a quick one, like I'd said something naive. She's family, she said. You'll adjust. That was the moment I realized this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a boundary being stepped over on purpose. She explained her plan like it was already approved. Her sister would take the spare room, the one we used as a home office. Rent would stay the same for now. Utilities would work themselves out. It would be temporary, which I'd learned usually meant indefinite. I asked how long temporary was. She shrugged. As long as she needs. I asked why this wasn't discussed weeks ago. She told me she didn't think I'd react well, so she waited until it was decided. That sentence stuck. Not until we figured it out. Until it was decided. I told her I wasn't okay with a third adult moving into a place I paid half for without my consent. I reminded her that the lease required written approval for additional occupants. I said this wasn't about her sister. It was about respect. Her expression hardened. This is my home too, she said, and I'm not choosing between you and my family. I hadn't asked her to, but she framed it that way because it made my objection sound selfish instead of reasonable. She started listing sacrifices she'd made for me, times she let things slide, times she compromised. None of them involved me making unilateral decisions that affected her finances or living space. When I said that, she cut me off. If you don't like it, you're free to leave, she said. I'm not rearranging my life around your comfort. There it was, the ultimatum hiding underneath everything. Accept the change or remove yourself. I went quiet, not because I was shocked, but because something clicked into place. This wasn't a negotiation. This was a test to see how much I would tolerate once she decided my consent was optional. She took my silence as compliance. Over the next few days, she started preparing without me. Boxes appeared in the hallway. The desk in the office was pushed against the wall. Her sister's name was mentioned casually in future plans, like she already lived there. I watched it happen without interrupting. Every time I brought up logistics, rent adjustments, lease terms, space, she brushed it off, said we'd figure it out later, said I was making things complicated. I wasn't complicated. I was paying attention. The apartment no longer felt shared. It felt reassigned. One night I overheard her on the phone saying, "Yeah, he'll get used to it. He always does." She didn't know I was home. That sentence confirmed everything I needed to know. The next time I brought it up, she didn't even pretend to listen. I asked clearly and calmly how rent was going to be split once her sister moved in. 3 adults in a 2-bedroom meant higher utilities, more wear, less space. I said it was reasonable to adjust costs if occupancy changed. She sighed like I was being tedious. "Why are you nickel and diming this?" she asked. "It's family. You're acting like a landlord." That was the shift. My concerns weren't wrong. They were inconvenient. So she reframed them as character flaws. I pointed out that the lease specifically limited occupants. I said I wasn't comfortable violating a contract I was legally responsible for. I didn't threaten. I didn't raise my voice. She rolled her eyes. "No one checks that stuff," she said. "You're being dramatic." I asked what would happen if there was an inspection, or a complaint, or an issue with the building. I asked whose name would be on the notice. She said, "Stop catastrophizing." Then she said something that made the decision simple. "If you're this uncomfortable, Maybe you should take some space, she said. You work remote anyway. You're not even here most of the day. It wasn't just dismissal, it was repositioning. I was being downgraded from equal partner to optional occupant. I realized then that staying meant accepting a pattern. Today it was her sister. Tomorrow it would be something else. Money, time, space, all decided without me. So I stopped arguing. I didn't announce a breakup. I didn't issue a counter-ultimatum. I told her I needed a few days to think and went back to work like nothing had changed. That night, I read the lease carefully. Both names were listed as equal tenants. Early termination required notice, but it also allowed one tenant to be released if the other assumed full responsibility and the landlord approved. The clause had always seemed theoretical. Now it was leverage. Over the next 2 days, I quietly made arrangements. I confirmed I could work from anywhere. I called a friend about crashing for a week if needed. I gathered documents, backed up files, separated personal items from shared ones. I didn't pack everything, just what mattered. She noticed eventually. "What are you doing?" she asked when she saw my laptop bag by the door. "Getting organized," I said. She smirked. "You're not really leaving over this, right?" I didn't answer. Her sister arrived sooner than planned. She showed up one afternoon with 2 suitcases and a trash bag full of clothes. No knock, no introduction. She walked straight in like it was already hers. She smiled at me and said, "Hope you don't mind." I minded, but I didn't say anything. That evening I slept on the couch because the office was being cleared and the bedroom was too crowded with stuff. I lay there listening to them talk and laugh, already settled into a new dynamic that didn't include me. In the morning, I sent an email to the landlord. I explained factually that an additional occupant had moved in without my consent and that I was requesting release from the lease per the agreement. I attached screenshots of the clause. I didn't accuse. I didn't dramatize. I just stated the facts. Then I left for the day. By the time I came back, there was a reply waiting. The landlord asked for confirmation from my partner that she would assume full responsibility for the unit and comply with occupancy rules. I forwarded the email to her. She read it twice. Her face changed. The confidence drained out slowly, replaced by irritation, then concern. "You went behind my back," she said. I corrected her. "I handled my responsibility." She argued that it was temporary. She argued that I was overreacting. She argued that this was too extreme. I didn't debate any of it. I told her I'd move out by the end of the week if the landlord approved the release. Until then, I'd stay out of the way. She said, "You're really doing this?" I nodded. That was the first real consequence. For the first time, her decision had a cost, and it wasn't mine. Final update. The landlord approved my release 2 days later. No drama, no negotiation. Just a short email confirming that my name would be removed from the lease once my partner signed the assumption addendum and the occupancy issue was resolved. Clear, administrative, done. That's when things started to unravel, without me doing anything else. She tried to stall, said she needed time, asked if we could talk it through before signing. The landlord replied that until the paperwork was complete, the additional occupant violated the lease and needed to be addressed immediately. Her sister suddenly became a problem. I wasn't in the apartment much after that. I stayed with a friend, came back only to collect things and sleep when necessary. When I was there, I kept interactions short, polite, neutral, no arguments to feed on. Meanwhile, the tone in the apartment changed. Her sister was no longer temporary. She was now a financial variable. The rent stayed the same, but utilities didn't. Neither did groceries, neither did space. The office was gone. The living room was crowded. Privacy disappeared. I heard them arguing late one night when I came by for clothes. Not about me, about money. Her sister didn't have steady work. She said she'd contribute when she could. My partner pushed back, reminding her that this was supposed to be short-term. Her sister snapped that she wouldn't have moved in if she wasn't welcome. The next day, my partner asked me if I could stay on the lease, just a little longer to keep things stable. I said no. I signed my release and sent it to the landlord. That was the last thing required from me. Once my name was officially off the lease, the consequences accelerated. The landlord scheduled a compliance check. My partner had to either add her sister formally, which required proof of income and an application, or have her move out. The application failed. No income, no approval. Suddenly, the ultimatum she'd given me was aimed at someone else. Her sister accused her of choosing a relationship over family. My partner accused her sister of taking advantage. Neither of them looked at me. I finished moving out quietly, took only what was mine, left the rest untouched. No dramatic exit, no final speech. The day I returned my keys, my partner asked if we could reset once things calmed down. I told her calmly that there was nothing to reset. This wasn't about her sister. It was about the moment my consent stopped mattering, about decisions being made first and justified later, about being told to adjust instead of being asked. She said she didn't think I'd actually leave. I told her that was the problem. After I left, the rent became her full responsibility. The landlord required proof of compliance within 30 days. Her sister moved out before the deadline. Angry and resentful, the apartment stayed. The relationship didn't. I didn't block her. I didn't argue. I didn't explain myself again. I just stopped being available. Weeks later, I heard through a mutual friend that she was struggling to keep up with expenses, that she felt blindsided, that she said I'd checked out without warning. I didn't correct the story. From a distance, everything was quiet. No chaos, no revenge. Just the natural result of a boundary crossed and a partner who chose certainty over comfort. I didn't win anything. I just left before losing more.